I'm glad you got taken care
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this glorious Thursday afternoon, 70-degree plus weather. I think our meeting is going to be a little short, so we can all get outside.
Get on your bicycle.
Right. So at this time, we'll start our meeting. We'll call the meeting to order, and rather than a roll call, we will go around the room and introduce ourselves and tell us where you're from. Phil North, Roanoke County.
Steve Clinton, Botetourt County.
Goody Martin, beautiful, Botetourt County.
Always beautiful. David Radford, Roanoke County Board of Supervisor.
Dean Martin, Roanoke County.
Peter Vollison, City of Roanoke.
Ryan Gross, Town of Benton.
Lori Smith, Franklin County Board of Supervisors. Stephanie Monrano, City of Roanoke.
Robert Wood, Town of Rocky Mount.
Barbara Dirk, citizen for Roanoke City.
Lee Osborne, citizen, Roanoke County.
Dee King, City of Salem, citizen rep.
Dawn Erdman, Roanoke City citizen rep.
Jim Wallace, City of Salem.
Virginia Marlin, Regional Commission.
And Jeremy Holmes, Secretary of the Commission.
And let's go ahead and ask our folks along the wall here, starting from my left, if you tell us who you are. And go around the room.
John Smith with the Regional Commission.
Christina Finch, Regional Commission.
Sherry Dean, Regional Commission.
Robert Knapp, Director of Roanoke Valley Collective Response at the Regional Commission.
I'm Mark Nelson, I'm the Director of Economic Development for the City of Roanoke.
Alicia Cundiff, Economic Development, City of Roanoke.
Lisa Soltis, Economic Development, City of Roanoke.
Brady Woolvine, Economic Development, City of Roanoke.
To break it back up again, Brian Hill with the Regional Commission.
Robin Brunt, Regional Commission. Bailey Helgeson with the Collective Response.
Amanda McGee with the Regional Commission.
And Andrea Garland, Regional Commission.
Elizabeth Elmore, also with the Regional Commission.
Good. Thank you all for attending today. We look forward to Roanoke City's presentation in a bit. Moving on to item 2 on the agenda, approval of consent agenda items involve approval of the agenda, February 23rd minutes, as well as financial reports from February 28th, or ending February 28th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Under remarks today on item 3, we are live streaming our meeting on the Commission's Facebook page, part of our ongoing effort to improve public awareness of this important work is undertaken by the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission. We want to remind everyone watching that they are always welcome to address the commission via one of our public meetings or hearings or in person during the public comment period at the end of each meeting. The Regional Commission, on another subject, continues to be engaged with working surrounding the Opioid Abatement Authority and Catawba Hospital, working with both delegates Rasul and Delegate Terry Alston of Pontotoc on the best way to support this important project in this and the next General Assembly 2024 session. I want to take a moment to thank all the commission members and their member governments who were involved in the outreach program this past winter in the 23rd General Assembly session, and encourage key General Assembly members for support on this effort. Yesterday we had a meeting at Green Ridge, and we had a good dynamic discussion for about an hour and a half. The goal of that meeting yesterday with Delegates Rasul and Delegate Alston is to hear their take on the funding for the Catawba Hospital project, which has been earmarked $14.5 million or $8 million. If it's approved April 12th when the Assembly gets back together in Richmond. The ask was for $147 million. However, thanks to the support of Delegate Alston, who's Vice Chair of Appropriations, we want to make this a regional effort, and we were able to get some of the money to begin the planning. Now, next year, it's going to involve a regional collaborative effort to support not only their legislation, but also to put some of the Opioid Abatement Authority funds that regional governments have received towards that initiative, but also to consider application for a regional Opioid Abatement Authority grant. So money talks, and that's what the General Assembly is likely going to be looking for. It is not only for the support, but for funding support as well. So more on that as it moves through discussions. And we started that process a whole lot earlier than we do anything else normally, because time is of the essence, and before you know it, it'll be November. So, and the good thing about it, I hope both of those gentlemen return to Richmond next year, so we won't lose any of that energy that they both carry forward on this topic. Next, I'm pleased, but also sad to announce that Christina Finch, our Director of Transportation, where's Christina? There she is back there. Stand up so everybody can see you. Christina has decided to take the transportation of the train to Washington to begin working over the next future years. Now, she's been here 12 years with the Regional Commission, and she will be leaving to become the principal planner behind the National Capital Region's Transportation Plan for the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. Ms. Finch's last day will be April the 7th. Please join me in wishing Christina well as she undertakes her new transportation adventure. The posting for her job, as well as Transportation Planner Level 2, are both on the Commission's website. So with that said, let's give her a round of applause. And you're going to tell us a little bit about your new duties. Why don't you share that with us for a moment?
Well, just as you stated, Mr. North, I'll be leading the National Capital Region's transportation plan. So many of you are familiar with the work that I've been doing here over the last few years and creating the Roanoke Valley Transportation Plan. And I guess the folks up there liked it, and so they want me to do that up for the nation's capital region. So I'll be working with Maryland, DC, and Virginia, and it'll be exciting. I know a lot of traffic moves through there, and there's never a lack of work, so I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
And she's going to telecommute for the most part you still live here in this area, so that'll be fun and exciting that you don't have to move.
Yes.
That's the best of both worlds.
That is. So congratulations and good luck to you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may take a moment to add that Christina led the TPO and our transportation program through a massive change over the last 3 years that took place also in the middle of COVID. Enormous process change, the way we think about our projects and prioritize our projects. And that was no easy feat to lead that process to where we are now. And so I just wanted to add a special thanks to Christina for taking on not just the time that she spent here doing everything she's done on behalf of the transportation work, but leading a very, very large important, significant change in how we do work, which puts us on a great footing moving forward. And the National Capital Region is lucky to have her help them do that as well. So I wanted to extend my thanks to Christina for that commitment and that effort.
Thank you. That's all I have for remarks. We'll move on to the Executive Director's report, Jeremy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick notes. I recently had the opportunity to attend the National Association of Development Organizations annual policy conference in DC. So this is the group that oversees the various regional organizations who generally work with EDA on economic development funding, the SETS process, and so forth. This is a conference they put on with the Development District Association of Appalachia. So it's all the regional organizations who are working on community and economic development on a regional basis. So as part of that conference, I was able to attend a luncheon organized by the Virginia Association of Planning District Commissions, which Mr. Martin is a past president of that group. And they organized a luncheon with a number of staffers from our congressional and senatorial offices at the Capitol Visitor Center. It was my first time being at the Capitol Visitor Center, and a very large dog barked at the man next to me. It was terrifying. So, but at that meeting, I was able to share some of the projects that we are working on in our region, and thank the congressional and senatorial delegations for their support. In particular, we talked about the Safe Streets for All grant and the issues that we have as an outdoors community in making sure that our streets are safe and that our visitors and residents have access to them, as well as the work happening on the opioid abatement front, and not just what's happening through the abatement authority funding that Mr. North mentioned, but housing, workforce, all of the other issues that cross a number of federal departments that will influence how successful we are at addressing that project, that effort. So we appreciate the opportunity that VAPDC gave us to meet with these folks, remind them of the work that's happening here, and thank them for their efforts. And we made some great contacts and relationships with our folks in Congress and the Senate. So I want to extend my appreciation to VAPDC for giving us that opportunity to highlight the region at a federal level. And as a matter of business, I just want to take a moment to remind folks about the Commission's remote meeting policy. There have been some efforts at the state to make that policy friendlier, to give us more opportunities for remote and hybrid meetings. Unfortunately, all of those efforts failed at this last General Assembly. So just as a reminder for how remote meeting and remote participations work, commissioners do have the opportunity to attend up to 2 meetings a year remotely, and that is under statute, so that's not a rule we make, that's kind of what the state makes. For personal reasons, for illness, anything like that, we do have to state the reason in our policy, so you would have to notify me or the chair that you would like to attend remotely and give us the reason, and we can include that in the statement. You probably often heard Mr. North read at the top of our meetings. If you live over 60 miles away, which for our Allegheny Highlands members, you can attend remotely on an ongoing basis. We can make one motion at the beginning of the year to allow access for the remainder of the year. We have to have a physical quorum present, though. The remote participants do not count towards quorum. They may vote after a physical quorum is present. So that's a little bit of some of the rules they're trying to loosen up, but they haven't got there yet. We can also have up to 2 commission meetings a year fully remote if we choose. So that's an option. We have not taken advantage of that. I think for lots of reasons, we like being here together in this room, but that is an option allowable under the state open meeting laws, and if that's something that for whatever reason this body would like to consider, please just let Chair North or I know, and we'll be happy to figure out a way to do that. So if you've got any other questions about remote participation or hybrid participation, please let me know. But I thought a refresher might be useful with all the changes potentially in the state. And with that, that is the conclusion of my remarks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeremy. At this time, we'll move on to item 5 of the agenda. Our program on locality highlights welcomes Roanoke City and Mark Nelson and Lisa Soltis and the economic development team at Roanoke City. We look forward to hearing your message. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Is it okay if I speak without the microphone? I have a very loud voice. I'm afraid I'm going to blow everybody through the back of the window. So if I can speak without it, if anybody's having problems hearing, please let me know. Two things. Mr. North definitely set the ground rules with the statement that he wants to get us out here early to enjoy the beautiful day. So I will make sure I don't prolong this too much. And secondly, I did wear a sports coat to recognize the formality of the occasion, but given that it's 70 degrees outside, I decided to take off.
Well, in the previous meeting, you needed something because it was freezing in here. That's why I put mine back on.
See, it's perfect. It all
There
works
you
out.
go.
So basically, my name is Mark Nelson. I'm the Director of Economic Development for the City of Roanoke. I've been with the department for almost 12 years. I came here from Savannah, Georgia with Chris Morrill in 2011. And I worked my way up through the ranks. I was a special projects coordinator for about 6 or 7 years. And then I moved up to economic development manager under Rob Ledger. And then I became economic development director in August of 2021. So one of the interesting things about our department, we wanted to talk a little bit more today about the refocusing of what we're doing. So when I got the job and I sat down with the city manager, I asked him if we could do a strategic plan, because one of the things that we were seeing is that over the period of time that I've been here, we saw that a lot of the things, traditionally when we first got here, we did retention and expansion for businesses. We did property disposition. We had very set, small areas of focus, and we did them very well. But over time, especially since Bob Cowell arrived, we found our portfolio getting bigger and bigger, and we were taking on community development aspects, we were taking on innovation aspects, and so I felt like it was important for us to have a plan that captures all of those things and gives us some guidelines to work towards and some benchmarks to work towards. So basically, do I have to just tell you to change it, or is that?
That should be working, but if it's not, I'm more than happy to. It's working earlier.
It does not like me. All right, okay, sorry about that. So basically, the mission of the department is to foster stable economic growth in the city of Roanoke and provide continuous improvements to the quality of life for our citizens. The way we do that is our department is structured with 9 people. It is fully staffed as of Tuesday, when our last person finally joined us. Basically, I'm the director. We have a senior economic development specialist who is Lisa Soltis, who was, I will tell you, my biggest recruit. When I got the job, I came to Lisa and I said, I really need you to be here and help me. She is a person who has so much knowledge in the area of economic development, and I really wanted her to stay. And she said, well, I was going to retire, but I think I'll stay and take this on. And I acted like, I was like, yeah. And then I got in the next room and I was like, yes, because it was a big deal to retain everything that she's been able to do, and she's built a great team. So we have 4 specialists that are under her, and they're broken up by sector. We have an industry and manufacturing. We have commercial and retail. We have property and real estate. And then we have community development. So then we also have, an administrative assistant, and then we have 2 other things that are really unique to economic development, in the sense that we have a financial stability specialist, and we have a director of innovation. So in addition to that, one of the key things we have is our EDA, which has turned out to be a great group for us. These are the names of the folks. I think they're pretty well known in the community. One of the things that the EDA has sort of undergone a transformation as we've undergone a transformation. A number of the folks, the ones on this side, are all new within the last 2 years. They've been great additions. We've been able to really bring in a group of great business owners who've been able to really enhance what we're able to offer, the amount of advice they're able to provide, the input they provide. And the things that the Economic Development Authority does for us is, they not just act as a traditional pass-through for funding from governments to private businesses, they also make sure they process all our performance agreements, they issue bonds, all the general things EDAs do. But we are also hopeful that we'll be able to expand their role in a way that is similar to what folks are seeing in Danville. One of the things we've been very impressed by is that the EDA in Danville has taken on the role of almost being a property purchaser. In some ways, when they have the ability to, if they have a problematic property owner that is kind of the last holdout to a project they want to work on, they're able to use their funds to be able to work out some sort of deal to purchase property or work alongside a developer to be able to do that. And that's something we'd really like to see our EDA do as well. Braxton Knapp is our chair. We've had a lot of stable leadership under him. He's in his second 4-year term. The other one I want to highlight is Sam Darby, who is, I think, the legal counsel for just about every authority in the whole valley. And he keeps hinting at retiring. We're hoping that never happens. And if he does, we're hoping we can clone him because he's fantastic. So So the 5 key initiatives for economic development that we cover are business recruitment and attraction, business retention and expansion, economic opportunity and community development, innovation and entrepreneurship, and property sale and development. Now, these, recruitment and attraction, we did that, pretty well. Property sale and development, those are things that we also did. One of the things that we found is that we were missing out on opportunities for attraction. Traditionally, the department has not really done that. If it's industry and manufacturing, we work very closely. I don't see anybody here from the regional partnership, but we work very closely with them on any sort of industry or manufacturing. They're fantastic partners, but we don't have any sort of strategy for attracting retail. And we started to notice there's the ubiquitous question that every economic developer gets here: when are we getting a Trader Joe's? That is the kind of thing that we were not necessarily in the past set up to do. So one of the things that calls for in our strategic plan is that we're putting together an attraction plan for retail. So two other things: the innovation and entrepreneurship. That's also new because things have grown so well with the RAMP Accelerator, with the work that's going on at Carillion and over at the Fairfield Biomedical Research Institute, that we felt it was necessary to bring somebody in for that. And then there's also the economic opportunity and community development. I think one of the things that our department has that maybe some of the other departments in the region don't have is we have the need to go into certain neighborhoods for folks who have been left behind or have not had access to opportunities. And we've noticed that a lot of the things that the city manager's office was asking us to do via council's direction focused on community development. So we brought somebody in and had a specialist that specifically focuses in those areas. So retention and expansion, I promise you these are very packed slides. I will not read all of them. Business development, the visitation program, we're required to do 225 visits a year. We have a monthly city manager's business breakfast, which allows us to bring in business owners from around the region. They're able to participate in the breakfast, meet with the city manager, kind of do a round table and some networking with other business owners. Attendance at trade shows, that's something we haven't done in the past that we're going to start to do now. And then we also have we have Biz News, RBTV Channel 3, and then we also have, thanks to Brady, a very robust presence on social media, including Facebook and Instagram. Asset promotion, we do a lot of the things that the other departments do in the region. We work with BVR, we work with Roanoke Outside, DRI, Center and Square. And then we also work with businesses to collaborate with the partnership, with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, with DRI again, local colleges and universities. We do a lot of kind of the same general asset promotion with our partners. So economic opportunity, this is something that's really, economic opportunity and community development. This is something that we feel very strongly about. We brought in a few years ago a gentleman named Brandon McGinley, who is our financial stability specialist. He has launched the Bank on Roanoke Valley program. He also runs the Financial Empowerment Center. And this is really important because it's a chance to be able to provide financial services and counseling to folks in our community who may not have had access to those things traditionally or may not know where to start when they want to get into the financial market. Most of this is grant funded. Brandon has done a fantastic job. And I think he's really moved this ahead. He's managed to collaborate, I think, with some of the other localities in this room, which has been very beneficial for us and for the other localities. So innovation and entrepreneurship, this has been really a really interesting thing. I started to work on this back in 2016 when Chris Moore was here. The whole concept of an innovation corridor had come to kind of bubbled up for a while. There was all this talk about the work that Carillion and Virginia Tech was doing. And so one of the things that we noticed is that we had pieces that were missing in our innovation ecosystem. We work with Roanoke Blacksburg Technology Council, with RAMP, with CoLab. But there were certain pieces missing. Like every day we had, I don't know if everybody remembers Sam English, but Sam came to us every single day for an entire year and said, we need an accelerator. And finally, Wayne Bowers, who was one of the directors before me, broke down and said, why don't you go and get one? And he said, we don't have the funding to do an accelerator. So the city went out and got a grant, and we did a swap with Carillion for the building downtown. We upfitted the building, and then we worked with First Virginia Western Community College and now RVTC, and we launched the RAMP Accelerator in 2017. They are in their 6th year. They now have 2 cohorts a year, a fall and a spring. The spring one is focused more on things like biotechnology and health sciences. And so that was a vital piece of our innovation ecosystem that we didn't have. And eventually, when I got this job as director, Bob told me, you have to spin this off. You have to bring somebody else in who can help with these things. So we brought in a gentleman named Brad Betcher. He came from the airport. He has a background an MBA. He has a background in, he worked for, I know this is going to be real, he worked for Silicon Valley Bank before the crash, well before the crash, and has really been a real asset for us. So the innovation corridor is primarily, we see this in two ways. You have the south bookend, which is Carillion and the Fairland Biomedical Research Institute. Is a $1 billion investment currently by Carillion. And I think you can see, everyone can see the progress that the Fairland Biomedical Research Institute and the VTC School of Medicine have made. These are some of the focus areas. I won't bore you by reading all of them line by line. But then we also have the regional accelerator in the middle, and then we see the Hotel Roanoke and Conference Center as sort of the northern bookend, because that one of the things that it could be easy to overlook is how great they are at providing resources for meetings and things like that, which we hope over time a lot of these endeavors will grow and be able to fill. So one of the things that we're working on right now is it's currently called Gemini Labs. Basically, in August of 2021, we started working on a proposal to the state asking for $15.7 million to be able to upfit this building. This is 1030 South Jefferson Street. It is owned by Carillion. One of the things that we got really lucky on is for a long time, we had an accelerator up and running. We had FBRI, we had Carillion, but we did not have access to wet and dry labs or any sort of spin-off companies. Companies would come out of Carillion and Virginia Tech, and for those who do not know, if you have a side hustle, if you have a side business, you're working for Virginia Tech, you have a spin-off business, you can't do work on that in the lab where you work for Virginia Tech or for Carillion. You have to have a separate place to go to, and we didn't have anything. So when Brett Malone became the head of the Corporate Research Center over at Virginia Tech, we were banging our heads against the wall trying to figure out how we were going to get wet and dry labs. And literally, Brent walks through the door and goes, "Hey, what do you need over here?" And we were like, "Oh, you're the right guy." And so working with him, we got some Go Virginia funding to be able to fund some studies to identify the need. Carillion agreed to put up this building. So we got 15.7 million from the state in appropriation last year. We are matching 1.9 million. So basically, the 15.7 will be used to upfit this building. It'll be 10,000 square feet of lab space, 10,000 square feet for companies, and then Johnson & Johnson has a virtual JLabs program that they were going to put a branch of that here, and that will occupy another 10,000 square feet. So our match, the 1.9 million, is partially ARPA funded, and it will be used to provide programming through the Roanoke Blacksburg Technology Council and Virginia Western to be able to provide different kinds of programming here. One cool thing about it is Virginia Western is signing an MOU next month with Radford University Carillion. So you could conceivably get an associate's at Virginia Western, you could get your bachelor's at Radford University Carillion, and then get a graduate degree at FBRI. You can get all of your education on one street and not ever leave Jefferson Street, which we think is an amazing thing. So property sale and development, that's one of the key things we've been able to do. We have a state enterprise zone with facade grants, real property investments, job grants. We also have made major use of performance agreements. A lot of the things that you see around town have been driven by performance agreements. If you look at the hotel on top of the parking garage, if you look at the bridges development over at FBRI, those were all performance agreements. When you go by, it's called Ivy View, where Trillion Ion is, and Earth Fair and Mellow Mushroom, that's also driven by a performance agreement. And those are revenue sharing agreements that we've used to address public infrastructure needs on private projects. It helps developers overcome major hurdles. We also provided development opportunities. We market available buildings, sites, manage leases and easements and things like that. So these are some of the major investments. I'll just kind of go through these very quickly. We've got the Gemini Labs, which I mentioned previously. We've got the Riverdale project, which was recently announced. That is a project that's being headed up by Ed Walker. It's going to take a while. It's going to be 17 years, but the city will be loaning Ed $10 million to go towards to clean up and public utilities and things like that there. He in turn will invest, or cause to be invested, $50 million over the next 17 years. So some of the other projects, we have the Randolph Street project. This is where the previous bus station was on Campbell and Salem Avenue. This is being done by History Partners, which is Lucas Norton's project. It's a $35 million investment that will have 20,000 feet of retail, 70,000 commercial feet, square feet, 90 apartments. And then we also have the South Roanoke Boutique Hotel. which is going to be a $10 million investment. One of the things that we've been told is that we do need more hotel options in and around the downtown area, and this meets that need. So these are some of the other ones that we worked on. Fire station number 1, this literally took 7 years to bring to fruition. We started selling it in 2015, it went up and down a couple of different buyers. We had deals that fell through, and finally Old School Partners 2, which is Dale Wilkinson and David Hill and Greg Rhodes bought the building. They put $3 million into it, and so now it's home to, on the first floor is Texture Furniture, and the top floor is a 7-room boutique hotel. It's also home to, and I didn't think this would work, but it does, a Nordic-inspired tapas restaurant. I don't know how Nordic and tapas got together, but they did, and they did it quite well. So. And then just to round out a couple more projects we have, one of the things that's really driving innovation for us is you have the Crystal Spring Tower, which is over $300 million. We have $17.3 million in investment in the bus station downtown. I think if you go by and see this, it's a fantastic new station. It serves so many different people who really need it. You know, we have heard some from a couple of business owners that they've been upset by the fact that it's placed over there. But since then, they've sort of gotten used to the idea when they see how the traffic flows. And it's been amazing. It's very important that this kind of transportation stay downtown, so people could be able, who need it, could be able to get where they need to go. It's on a great site. It's a well-designed building. We're very proud of it. And so, just a couple of more. This is a $500,000 investment. It's an old motel, and one of the most important things about it is its placement. It's right on the border between the city and the county on Franklin Road. It's a key investment that we think is going to really kind of help that corridor over there. What we've noticed is we've been talking with the county's economic development folks quite a bit about the fact that we need to really have some sort of gateway between those two places. With all development at Tanglewood Mall, that's going to be very important, because when you travel down Franklin Road, you want to make sure it's not just a place full of storage places and things like that. If anybody owns a storage place here, I apologize. But you know, as you travel down, you want a vibrant corridor as you go from the city to the county. And then A. Pyle, just to talk a little bit about industry and manufacturing. They're a trucking company out of Pennsylvania, and they've made key investments. This one is $20 million, and they've done it in Manassas and Richmond and Roanoke. So this is just a couple of other things. And this is another key project. It's a former Days Inn in Northeast, and it's very important for the fact that the Days Inn was not what you call a desirable building. We worked with a developer to come in. He's now going to be putting an apartment complex over there. And then we also have our newest headquarters is Universal Health, which is located in the old Nicus building, which is downtown right across from our offices. We're very excited to have them. And just one other thing I think is important is the fact that when you look at all the economic development departments, a lot of us, the directors, I think, except for Bonnetoc County, and Ken is great, but almost everybody has been here in these leadership roles less than 2 years. And so what you're finding now is we have a real sense of collaboration. We're all on one big group text, we all work together. And when we did the most recent lobbying for VITA, which is the Virginia Economic Development Association, we all went and lobbied in Richmond together. And we went around to go see all of our lawmakers, and McNamara, Suderline, everybody said the same thing. I don't think I've ever seen all the localities in one room together. And that is one of the things that we think is very important when you look at, you know, just a small sample size of that is what you're looking at along Franklin Road. There are things that we need to do with the city of Salem. There are things that we need to do with Roanoke County. You know, things that we think will be beneficial to the entire region. And we now think we have the right leadership in place in all of the economic development parts to be able to do that. So this is just a couple more things. An investment for Riverview Bank headquarters. I know people love Red Lobster. This is a great investment too. The renovation on Brandon Avenue of some of the office space out there will be $15 million investment. So that is pretty much the end of my presentation. I wanted to keep it short so you can have this beautiful day. If anybody has any questions, I'm absolutely happy to answer everything.
Any questions for Mark? Mr. Eck.
Mark, the Evans Spring's been in the news. So how are you guys helping the owners with that?
That is primarily being handled by the planning department, the city manager's office at this point, because it's largely a planning study right now. It's a master planning study. So what we've been told is that as it goes a little bit further into, as they get deeper into the planning process and they start looking more at economic development options, retail and mixed use, things like that, then they're going to bring us in. But right now, planning is primarily handling the the different components of the master plan. So not yet, but we're going to be involved in it. So.
Okay, is your department for it? Are you publicly saying anything about that?
Well, I can give you my personal opinion as an economic developer. I mean, and that's what it represents. It represents just my opinion. Yes, I think so. I think it's, I think it's a viable option. When you look at places like, I went to school in the Triangle, and when you go west of there to Alamance County and you see what's happened in Nevin, where you had a tired old outlet mall, and then they brought in a Tanger outlet, and they brought in other development right next to it, and that has spread all the way across up that side, and then there's some development on the other side. The opportunity to develop something correctly and then have it possibly extend over to Valley View and reinvigorate Valley View, I think is something that's important and that we can't look past. Other people may feel the same. Again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Good answer.
But some of my bosses are sitting here, so I'm sure I would say this. Any other questions?
I live in a neighborhood that has a lot of people that work at Trillion. And they said that the reason that they are here in the Roanoke Valley is because when they were brought here to interview, there was somebody trout fishing in the Roanoke River. And they said, oh, I wanted to live in that location. And I'm hearing from the VTC people is that the mountain bike trails on Mill Mountain are an attraction too, and the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we need to remember that clean air and clean water are economic development. Not flooding is economic development, and how we can build out our community, and have our affordable housing with our 700 units and still have open space to make Roanoke a clean, a good place to live, work, and play is really important. We need to have the water, we need to have the clean air, and so there's more than and that they're part of economic development.
That point taken. That's an excellent point. But we see the other side of that as well. So one of the things we hear from BTC a lot is, where's our Trader Joe's? Where are these other options that we'd like to see in the community? So we try to balance both of those things, because we do understand there's a balance between the outdoors and the things that bring people here, and then the things that keep them here over long term, which is a little bit of both.
Well, and what I see in the neighborhood, where's the parking?
I've never been to a vibrant downtown or a neighborhood where there's not parking.
So the issue is, hey, we need to get more people walking and riding bicycles, and the bus transit to be cool, and more people to riding bus instead of single occupancy vehicles being our main. Yeah, you can get that trolley running later, but I'd like it.
We've heard that from the folks at Rabbit too. They really like to have that running further outside of the downtown area. So thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Mark? Mark, thank you very much for that detailed presentation. Up next is item 6 on our agenda under other business, regional travel survey project update, and the chair welcomes Andrea Garland from the commission.
You remember what I said earlier? See who's new. Okay, so for those of you, I just presented to the previous meeting, and so thank you for having me again, and thank you for those of you that listen to this. I'm going to say exactly the same thing. But I'm here to talk about a project that I'm working on this year. Is the regional travel survey. We often hear about survey efforts that we do, kind of to like assess what our community thinks about projects and investments that we're doing, but this is a different strategy we are working on, where we're actually gonna target households in our region to ask them, how do they see, can you move the slides, Elizabeth? How do they see transportation from their personal perspective? What are their travel patterns, trip satisfaction, awareness? This is a best practice for transportation demand management programs, such as Ride Solutions. That's what we do. as one of our goals in the Right Solutions Program, to understand the commute patterns of our region. And it's an effort that gets done on the regular basis, perhaps every 3 or 4 years. So to keep a baseline of what our commuters need, or our transportation needs are. Our goal is to receive at least 2,000 responses from our entire region, from the entire RDARC region. We will be going, like Mark said, like I've been here just about the same time Mark has been on economic development, and I have not done a strategic plan yet. So we go through my strategic plan process next year. And so this survey will be one of our baseline information for developing that strategic plan and that focus of what we should be doing in the next 6 years. And it would also help us inform other transportation planning process and that we're consistently done in the regional commission. So how are we gonna get 2,000 surveys? We have developed a strategy based on, we have purchased randomized mailing addresses across our region, in which, so we will be actually mailing these surveys and this invitation to take the survey to over 2,000 households in our region. This eliminates the barrier of, trying to, having to like go to a link on Facebook or having to get this email. Like, we're actually mailing the survey to your households. We're actually running a survey pilot in April, so we'll be sending 1,000 surveys across the region, just kind of to make sure if there are any bugs or problems, or maybe they're not, but we will find out sooner. And then in May, we'll be mailing the 20,000 survey invitations. And why 20,000? So kind of the best practice in this in this subject indicates that you receive about 10% of what you put out. So we're hoping, that's why we're hoping to get those 2,000 responses, but we could get more. We built into our project $1,000 worth of incentives. So we will be actually offering people who take the survey the opportunity to win $100 gift cards. And so the other part that is strategically important about this project is that we're actually going to oversample some areas of our region to ensure that we are representing racially diverse and low-income households. And so the next slide. So we have this 20,000 like certified mailing addresses, household addresses. We initially divide them based on the census tracts, based on population. So more dense communities, urbanized communities would naturally get more invitations to take the survey. But we want to make sure that our localities, especially our rural communities, our low-income and marginalized communities, are overrepresented in this effort. So we are using the environmental justice developed scores to understand what this target areas are, and they are being oversampled by different percentages, but also more importantly, are really dispersed communities and smaller population communities like Covington, Craig County, the Alleghany Highlands. We want to guarantee that we at least will get 100 survey responses from this area. So we're oversampling them. So at least every region of every locality of our region will get at least 1,000 mail ballots during this effort. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because most likely when we send 20,000 mailers, somebody somebody you work with, will receive this invitation, this paper surveys. So you are our stakeholders. We want you to be informed. And so if somebody asks you, that is something that is an effort of the regional commission. You know who to send them to. If they have any questions, I will be sending you information that you will have at your fingertips if you want to find out more about it, want to share with your community. And also in an effort to emphasize on this oversampling, we want to work with community-based organizations that possibly represent these communities that we want to oversample. So in your community directly, and I'm talking to, perhaps the rural communities, if you identified a community organization that you think we should know about and should work with, we'll be happy to get that information and reach out to them and see how they can help us distribute the information about the survey, so people who receive it will take it. And that's pretty much what I got.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Are there any questions for Andrea about the
Yes,
survey?
Christina, will we provide a link to that survey?
No, so
Okay,
the survey is not, again, it's not a survey that will be, because we want to make that effort of like, who gets the survey, you put a link on Facebook, you kind of know who's gonna get that link, and like, it unbalances the diversity of the survey takers. So no, there will be, unless we want to say, for instance, in Roanoke City, we might work with the Latino community, when we might provide a link specifically so they can share with their group to take the survey. Yes.
So when the number of surveys you're gonna send is more than the census tract, does that mean that you're sending surveys to people twice, or?
No, it's not gonna be, that's not gonna be the case, and we had, so we don't have that case in our, these are our census, this is the map of our region with the census tracts overlaid. The only localities in which we have, so that's Craig County. Can you zoom out onto, so Covington and Craig County. Those are the localities where we have like smaller populations, and based on the populations, even the environmental justice scores, we will still get less than 1,000 surveys sent to those, I guess zip codes, so should I call them? So those we oversample by 1,000. But if you zoom in over here on the.
Well, I'm just trying to understand what that means when you say oversample. You've got 501 addresses that you can send it to, but you're gonna send out 1,000, so.
Yeah, but that's, so we
What does
only
that
have
mean?
20,000 mailers, right?
I
There's
understand.
more than 20,000 households in our region.
Right.
Way more. And then we divide those 20,000 based on census tract addresses. We have the addresses. So we divide them based on population. If you want to go back to the table?
Well, I can understand oversampling, meaning that you're sending more mailers per number of households in a region or area.
Not per number of households.
A higher percentage.
Yes, higher percentage.
Okay. What I'm asking you is when the percentage is more than 100%, what does that mean?
We don't have that case.
All right, when you're saying you've got, maybe I'm not understanding this chart, so explain it to me.
Yes.
You've got 929 in census tract, but you plan to send 1,000 mailers.
No, so that's not what that means. That means that we have this numbers add up to 20,000 mailers, 20,000 addresses. So we divided the 20,000 addresses among all our 11 localities and decided how many each locality gets, and that is based on population. So it's a percentage. So if you look on this side, so Roanoke City, based just on population, will get over 6,000 mailers versus Allegheny County and Clifton Forge would only get 929 because they have less population, less density. There are more than 929 households in the whole Allegheny region. There are more than that. We're only targeting 20,000 addresses in our region. So we bump up that 929 to 1,000 to the Allegheny Highlands, just to guarantee that we get at least 100 in that region, 100 responses. Hopefully we'll get more. Did that clarify it?
I think so.
Okay, so yeah, so this is not the number, this is just the randomized sampling. So it's like we have 20,000 surveys to mail. That's, just think about it, that's all we can afford. We can only afford to send 20,000. Now we have to distribute them among our region, right? How we distribute them equitably. First we say, well, how many people you have, so per percentage, and then let's just add a little bit more, bump up the ones that have minorities or less population.
But that also means you're undersampling in other localities.
Yeah, we probably, if we go back to the map, we'll be undersampling, more like South Roanoke. You know, we'll be undersampling like the more like, you know, we're oversampling based on minority, low income, and rural areas.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any more questions for Andrea? There being none, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, and take the survey if you can.
Okay, moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, comments from commission members and or the public. Do we have any commission members that would like to make comments?
Chair North,
Yes.
this morning's Virginia Mercury, which is an online news roundup, had a good article about the upcoming review of Smart Scale. So if you want to look at it.
Right, and along those lines too, May the 16th, it'll be the 6-year improvement plan meeting with the Commonwealth Transportation Board, Secretary of Transportation, I think it's Salem Civic Center at 4 o'clock on May 16th. Thank you for that reminder too, I missed that, I usually read that.
It was this morning, yeah.
Yeah, I must have skipped that one this morning. Anybody else have any comments?
Mayor North, Chair North, I do. At last commission meeting, Ms. Garland presented about the bicycle racks, and that Mayor Gross and Andrea and myself and Julie Wheaton are in the Benton Messenger below the fold, but it's still on the front page, and about the bike racks that are being distributed in our communities.
So what you're saying was you were in Benton, is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
I just want to make sure I had that right.
What a blessing.
Barbara, no doubt you rode over there on your bike, is that what you did
Yes.
that day?
Yeah, well, we were dedicating bike racks, so I thought we needed to have some bicycles there.
Yes, indeed.
Mayor Gross is going to bring his bicycle the next time.
Yeah, next time.
Right. Okay, anyone else have anything? Well, we're not quite finished. I'll give you an update on I-81. As your representative on the I-81 Advisory Commission, on February 22nd, Governor Youngkin, Secretary of Transportation Shep Miller, a group of interested delegates, and the Commonwealth Transportation Board members, of which Ray Smoot is our representative for this area, met to discuss improvement options to accelerate improvements on Interstate 81. The timeline to complete the current identified target improvements along I-81 is such that the Commonwealth will always be playing catch-up with the interstate's constantly evolving capacity needs. There was general agreement in the room that other options should be considered, and that a public-private partnership would be the most viable option to address these capacity needs in a timely, cost-effective manner. Now, the governor has $500,000 in the proposed budget that's still under consideration, and the General Assembly hopefully will vote on in April. I think April 12th is when they go back. But in the meantime, the Delegate Austin, who is the chair of the 81 Advisory Commission, and also the vice chair of appropriations, but more importantly, the chair of transportation, wrote to Secretary Miller and asked him to advance this sooner than later, not wait for the $500,000 of approval, and has asked him to look into using VDOT resources to learn about an independent third-party consultant to study this issue. So I wanted to make sure you're all aware of that. I'm sure there'll be more to come, and later on this year, or perhaps before the General Assembly convenes next year. Now, someone asked me in the TPO meeting, what's the public-private partnership? Well, it's designed, from what I understand, this is just what I've heard secondhand, to increase capacity in certain locations along the corridor to expand from 2 to 3 lanes. There are some areas that need 3 lanes today, and someone says, how are you gonna get that done? Well, public-private partnership could mean we entered an agreement with somebody else that may do the work and or manage the process. It could result in some tolling. That's where you pull up and have to pay to play, or maybe you use something on your vehicle like they do over in the eastern part of Virginia. Now, what this all means, we don't know yet. It's like everything else. Let's get a study and then wait and see what it tells us. But I will tell you this, that the Commonwealth Transportation Board in Richmond listened to a presentation that we made back in December to expand southbound I-81 between exits 137 and 128 to 3 lanes, just before you get to the truck lanes down there at Roanoke. It was included in the smart scale package, and it came in with a rating of about 0.24, which was way below the 2.7, which I think was the cutoff on the scoring. So it didn't score very high, folks. It almost finished dead last. So we got to figure out a better mousetrap. The smart scale is not going to fund the $300+ million project. Now, the other thing is, east of Richmond, I-64 got a lot of support and attention because it's a lot more dense area over there, and politicians that serve those areas have did a nice job advocating for that to be improved, and that was over $200 million project. We got to beat the drum a little harder to get some more attention over here in this part of the Commonwealth, because I-81 is more heavily traveled with commercial traffic, never mind the everyday folks that traverse through the Commonwealth, than any other interstate on the eastern seaboard and probably in the whole nation. So we gotta get some money. And many times when you go ask for money, people turn around, they walk away, you gotta go get them and hold them, you know? So we're working on some solutions, but it's not coming easy. And so there you go. I'll keep you posted. Anyone else got anything else before we adjourn? Thank you again to Roanoke City for your presentation. Excellent job. Keep up the good work, because your economic development is our economic development, because people live in other parts of the area and spend money all over the regional area of Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission. So what succeeds in one area helps benefits the whole area. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn, Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.